I came here and I was like, there is no backup plan.
I'm sweating. This one made me mad.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to this week's episode of Beauty Room Talk, Locker Room Talk if it's slayed. Today we're going to be talking about community versus competition in the beauty scene. Are we sharing the love or are we snatching wigs? For me personally, it's a little bit of both.
I am here to spread love and not competition because I think that's really stupid.
Competition is dumb, y'all. I just kind of want to ask, who is your community right now? And like, how did you start? Like, what was the community looking like? Like, when you started, did you have a community? Take the time to appreciate your community as we start.
I kind of got into it last episode a little bit, but not like super crazy. So if you're in the second episode and you haven't watched the first one, go do that. I started weirdly without any background in makeup, and like I feel like people around me thought that makeup was a little silly. I was kind of like the oddball out. Like I never really understood why everybody thought it was so silly. So family wise, I'm gonna go ahead and say like that wasn't really like the best thing ever. My friends were really into it. They kind of saw me get really into it. My best friend is the reason that I really started doing anything when it pertained to like social media. But as it comes to like down to the actual makeup community itself and like people in it, I've had a few that ended up I had a girl literally ghost me. I had my mentor, Vidi is amazing. Hi, if you're listening. He was my mentor when I started on that film set that I mentioned back in 2021. He was fantastic. He is the main reason, honestly, why I like keep going with this, even though like everything was whatever you want to say, like kind of against me, and like I keep pushing forward because I keep seeing him. He's in the union and everything, and he works with celebrities. So I'm like, I can do that. I can get there if I just keep going. He even said it. It wasn't overnight. It took him a really long time. And now he's finally like where he wants to be, or at least close to where he wants to be. I had a few other people that are like I'm still close to, but I don't really speak to them anymore. And now I have Makall.
That's what I love about this podcast in general. Like, we're starting while we've been in the community for a while. Like, our viewers are going to be able to watch our relationship grow as it is a new relationship, and to see us grow. And we're going to be building a new community, branching out to other artists. And I just feel like that's going to be so good for us. And we might get to be like somebody's first community member, like we're talking about right now.
That's kind of what we want out of this too. Like if you're in a case of where you don't have like some like Makall's family where she had makeup artists and people like that behind her, she's in around it, and you're kind of like dipping your toe into this community and you don't have anybody, or your family thinks it's stupid, or your friends don't like it or whatever, and you're kind of like wishy-washy about it, we're here to sort of like guide you and get you in the right direction. Again, like Makall said, build that community, not the competition, because healthy competition is good, but community is better.
Yes, 100%. There will always be those people that push back at this career because it's not a traditional career. It's not 9 to 5 that you clock into. Even though I did have a lot of support in my family, there's still family members to this day even that are like, are you sure? Like, how's your little hobby going? Or like, oh, like you're doing makeup, but like, what's your real job? And I've been doing this full time for 3 years. So it will always be that way, but that's where you build the community that's not only just family and friends, because those are the people that are really going to support you. My family has always been my biggest support, which I'm so grateful and so lucky, because again, that's not very common, especially in our industry, to have parents alone like be really supportive. My mom has always really been a big supporter for me. She was the one that was like, be a makeup artist. If you want to be a makeup artist, be a makeup artist. Regardless of any relationship issues that I ever have with any of my family, they have always been really big supporters. My sisters were always my first models. If nobody wanted to model for me, my sisters I could definitely count on. Now my husband, he is definitely my number one. Like, he cleans brushes for me. He pulls my wagon if I need it. He supports the podcast, everything. He's definitely the best. Besides my family and, my husband and all of that, when I first started being like, okay, I'm going to take makeup seriously, I had like a random friend in high school and we weren't really even that close. He was like, hey, my mom does makeup. Like, you should talk to her. And I was like, somebody here living in my hometown does makeup? So I ended up reaching out to her, and she was more than happy to like share her knowledge. I like went over to her house and she's like showing me the magazines that she's been published in, and she was more of a commercial makeup artist, so very just like skin looking, very classic beauty. And
That's
she,
like
yeah.
yeah.
She sat down with me and just kind of like chatted about like where I wanted to go. And it was very, very early stages of like, I think this is what I want to do. And always going to be people like that, that are willing to, share their knowledge a little bit. And that's kind of what we want to do with the podcast again. Like, just share a little bit of our knowledge for free. We just want to help. And industry can be really, really hard. It's definitely, it can be like a sink or swim type of moment.
And people will help you drown.
Yeah. Definitely when I first moved here, they disguise it really well as like, I'm helping you and I want the best for you, but really they really don't. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it can take some digging for sure to like find the right connections. But once you get those right connections and you find those people that really, really, truly do want the best for you, that's all it really takes to just get a little bit of wind underneath your wings to start. Nowadays, how internet and social media can be so great for building the community, like that's how me and Ashley met. Like just like we said in the first episode, like we met on social media and now we have started a new relationship and we're growing a new community.
This is the equivalent of like a makeup artist dating app story. Where you're like, I don't know, I was just scrolling and I just found this one girl. I don't know, I liked her work and I like stalked her page and then I followed her. And I like gathered the courage and like whatever. She followed me back and then like I don't know, I DM'd her and it was cool. It was fun and now we're friends. Like it's the same thing where it's like it's terrifying. Oh my god. And I also need to preface this because a friend and I were talking about this in more of a dating aspect where it comes down to like he turned around and he was like, oh, I wish I could go up to a guy and just like give him my number and go to a bar. Like if I was more that person, I would do it. I was like, so do it. But I also have to understand like not a lot of people have the same like, yeah, whatever. Like who cares if they say no, just walk away. Like that's a really big part of it. For me, I could be like, oh my God, it's so easy. Like I could just go and like say hi to this girl and it's totally fine. And like she won't think I'm weird and she's definitely like a super nice person and like we can do this. And then there's also the times where I can send a message, I can send a DM, and I get completely fucking ghosted. And that's okay too, because what am I going to do? There's obviously, I think you said in the last episode, if one door closes, another one opens, like, okay, she didn't want to talk to me. That person didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to talk to me. And then fine, I'll talk to somebody else.
And that's the thing is, I'm actually pretty introverted. When I first started, I was super nervous. Every time I would go to a makeup gig, I would just like sweat uncontrollably and just like be so nervous. Now that it's normal, literally me right now. Now my normal to go to clients and things like that, but it's still, nerve-wracking to like meet somebody even organically, like not even on social media. For example, I go into the casinos regularly because I live in Vegas and that's where a lot of my clients are. Client aside, I'm walking through the casinos like with my wagon, with all of my stuff, and there's a lot of like elevator talk. For a long time and even now, like that is so hard for me to be like, yeah, I'm a makeup artist. Why are you guys in Vegas? Like all it takes is just like a little bit of conversation and all of a sudden you've got another client just from the elevator. It's so hard to market yourself that way. And I do understand, especially being an introvert myself, I feel like it just comes with practice. So if you're starting your, like Ashley said, dipping your toes into the industry, like you kind of do have to have the mindset of like, what's the worst that can happen, even though that's so scary and hard sometimes, but you'll find yourself doing it more like once you gain the confidence to just like be confident in yourself. Yeah, I do hair and makeup, or I'm a film artist, and do you need a makeup artist? Like, I'm here, here's my card. You know what I mean? That's all it takes.
Okay, we're going to get back to the community aspect in a second. Don't be afraid to say no. A big part of being social and being a makeup artist that communicates with other people and networks and just goes up to people or whatever. If somebody comes up to me and goes like, do you do hair? I could lie and be like, yes. Technically, I'm not lying because I do hair. I just don't like it. So if I turn around and I say, yeah, I do hair, all of a sudden I'm like doing a beehive at somebody's like bat mitzvah or whatever.
Right.
I'm lying to myself. They're getting a bad session. And I'm also taking a job from somebody who actually would be able to do it better. And I could have just teamed up with them to begin with. And I could have done the makeup. They could have done the hair. So be willing to say no to things. I wish I
Right.
knew that sooner.
This is Editing Ashley popping in here to say that I actually never mentioned the hair artist that I work with. I want to give a quick shout out to Georgina. Please go send her some love. I call her every time someone requests hair, and she also does my hair. I met her through a mutual friend, and I asked her to do a photo shoot with me one time. We have been inseparable since, so your community can literally come from anywhere. That includes people that you would never suspect having a makeup or hair artist friend.
It's hard to say no, especially in the beginning,
Yeah.
because you're saying no to money, it feels like. But again, that's kind of where the community comes in. Like Ashley said, like you can bring on a hairstylist. If you're a makeup artist that doesn't do hair, which was me for a really long time, reach out to hairstylists. Reach
Yeah.
out to those people. And that's kind of, I want this episode to be about like how to build community as well, because it's hard. It's hard to be like, well, who do I reach out to? While it is important to have other makeup artists in your community, like you can always refer other makeup artists to clients and like be friends, but your biggest supporters actually turn out to be people that aren't in your very specific industry. At least I've found out. So for example, if you're in my industry where you're like a bridal makeup artist, photographers are your best friend.
Yes.
Photographers will pay your bills. They will do anything for you. For some reason, they're all that way. I have so many photographer friends that refer me to clients who post me on their pages. And while I do have makeup artist friends, like Ashley is a great, great friend, she's on the other side of the country. She's not, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But,
Yeah.
find people in your area, find people in your specialty, but branch out in the specialty. Find photographers, find
Yeah.
florists, find caterers, find hairstylists. There's so many people that make one thing, and that's where you want to build the community. You don't want to just like stick into one where it's like, oh, I only have makeup artist friends. Build that community. Don't be afraid to reach out. Don't be afraid to be like, hey, are you looking for a makeup artist? I would love to be on your list. Like, if they say no, like whatever. But
Yeah.
a lot of the times that's all it takes is just like one DM.
It's true. A big group that you want to also have in your little Rolodex, models. Because if you
Yes.
can't find any of the other stylists or the hair people or the photographers, you find one model, you find an encyclopedia of all of those other people. You find
That
8
is so true.
photographers. You find every hair artist you can imagine. The photographer that I work with that did my birthday photos, I've been working with her for like 3 years. She is phenomenal. Her name is Sasha. Anytime she has somebody, she will literally send me a text and be like, hi, I have this client. I gave them your number. They're gonna blah, blah, whatever. 3 years. She works their sessions around my shifts and when I can do it. I also have a few different model friends that I met when I was getting my license, I'm not licensed, when I was getting my certification that I met through there. And I was like, oh, I'll keep their contacts, whatever. And I still work with them to this day. And I still have the connections that they brought me. I know a stylist through one of them. One of them ended up moving to Los Angeles. So I actually have a photographer out there that I work with that I met through him. So yes,
Yeah.
you can obviously get them individually, like get the photographer, get the stylist, get the hairdresser, get all this. But you find like 1 or 2 models and they like you and they like what you do, you find a gold mine of contacts. Like,
That's
it's
so,
crazy.
so true. I
Mhm.
didn't even think of that, but now that you bring it up, when I was in makeup school, we had these like model days where you had to ask people to come in and, again, I was 2 hours away from home. I did not have any family here. So I would reach out to models on Instagram and just be like, hey, like, get your makeup done for free at 9 a.m. You know what I mean? Like, I ended up reaching out to this girl named Danielle. She's actually, we still support each other on social media. She doesn't live here anymore, but I ended up reaching out to her and doing her makeup for one of my finals. She connected me with so many people just like through the grapevine. And we did multiple shoots after that. Like we got along really well. To this day, work with the photographer that we've done shoots for. He refers me to people, I refer people to him. And that's been like a 4-year relationship and it just keeps growing and growing. Continue to like foster those relationships. It's a game changer for sure, and it's free. It's free to be friends with people.
Mhm.
And it
It
doesn't
is.
cost money. There's no ads, like nothing. All it takes is just a little bit of personality and a little bit of making yourself available.
Yeah. Like you said, you have your photographer that you've been working with for 4 years that you met through a model. I met Sasha through Bryce, who now lives in LA. And he'll text us. He'll text us and be like, I see Bryce whenever I go to Los Angeles. Like, I'll tell him, I was like, Sasha says hi. She misses you, blah, blah. And he's like, oh my God, I miss her so much. I want to go back. I want to shoot with her, blah, blah, whatever. I just reached out to her. She texted him randomly because she's going to Iceland. Like, that's kind of the type of and he goes there all the time. That's kind of the community that we've sort of created. And it's nice because we were all here at one point, but now if we choose to go somewhere else, guess what? We have somewhere to go. Or if like he goes to a state, or if he's close to us and like maybe not in New York, but he's up in Connecticut or something and he can't find anybody out there or doesn't like anybody out there, he can, hey, what's up? So
Right.
it's a little scary again to reach out to these people, and like Makall and I have met a few of these people through our schools. So if you're not in a school now, or you don't plan on going to get your certification in a school and you're doing it at home on an online class, like do not be scared to go on Instagram. Literally go. Meta AI is a great thing, shockingly. Go on there, models in my area, blah, 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 New York not makeup artists, New York photographers, New York models. People with the smallest following sometimes have some of the biggest like brand deals that I've noticed, especially if they're signed models. A lot of the time, they'll just be very quiet about it. And then they get in trouble because they're not posting a lot. It's true. It's so true. Or you have people who are just moving to the area and just trying. So, like, don't let the number of followers scare you either. If you feel like it's too big or too small, don't overestimate somebody because they've got 15,000 followers, and don't underestimate somebody because they have 200 followers if you're looking for people on socials.
Yeah, that's a great, segue into the competition aspect as well. Social media can be really a mirage of things with the followers and the like count. Like Ashley said, don't get caught up in those things because you can, cheat yourself out of community that was meant to be your community and meant to be there and meant to stay just because they're too famous, or who would care about me or whatever. Like a lot of that stuff is fake. A lot of it isn't real. It's like all just a photo of what they want it to look like. There's real people behind these accounts and real people
Mhm.
that want to support you. So again, yeah, don't be afraid to just reach out to anybody you feel like you would connect with.
The AdSense that comes from having a large following and the brand deals that come with it, yeah, it's great and everything. And like, it would be so nice if we can all just have that, right? And have the 25,000 followers on like all of our social medias just across the board, right? And I know we're talking about community versus competition, and this is not to like pin people against each other, but sometimes the people who have these very large followings are not really that great. I hate to put it that way because I don't have another way to say it
Right.
without sounding that way, but a lot of the time they're not all that, or the methods that they use are, while they're their own methods, they're not great. And if you do that on somebody as a client and you're taking these influencers for every word and everything that they have to say, you're not probably going to do that well in a client sense. The Meredith Duxbury trend, which we'll get into in another episode. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Explain it a little bit.
So Meredith Duxbury was this girl, and I really liked her makeup at the beginning, and then do you remember the 100 layers of foundation challenge? Or like they would pour the foundation bottle on themselves?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was Meredith Duxbury that started that.
Okay.
While again, I think her makeup all in the end turns out great. If you were to use that amount of foundation on an
Right.
actual client, which I've seen people try to do, like not even as rage bait or clickbait,
Stop.
don't do that. Don't do that. You're wasting your money, you're wasting your time. Like a
Right.
lot of the time, the larger the followers, the more clickbaity it is, and the less likely it is that it's a real method of doing it. So don't get caught up in that. Please don't get caught in the numbers. I know the money that comes from it sometimes is nice, and the brand deals and the trips and everything are nice, but honestly, if you're good at your job, people will find you regardless.
Let's talk about competition, because I feel like that's going to be the meaty part of this episode, is because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much to tackle. The competition that we feel from outside forces that have nothing to do with makeup, our family or other industries, or just the pressure of being an artist, period. There's always going to be the competition from the family member's perspective of what you should be. The competition of like, you should have been a doctor, you should have been a dentist, you should have, you know what I mean? Like there will always be that outside force. And then also that manifests itself within you sometimes to be like, oh, like what if I would have done this? Or what if I would have gone to college and been something else? There's always going to be that inside of you as well. because being an artist is definitely a choice that we've all made.
It's a
It
choice.
can be,
It is.
yeah, and it's not a conventional choice. There's always going to be that competition within yourself too, comparing yourself to other industries that have nothing to do with you because of coulda, shoulda, woulda, and the what if. We have to ground ourselves sometimes and just be like, you know what, this is what I love. This is what I want to do, regardless of right in this moment of how much money I'm making or how successful I gauge myself to be. The fact that you are doing it is enough. The fact that you are trying at all, that is success in and of itself. If you're kind of on the fence of like if you should do this or not, obviously pay your bills, do what needs to be done. A lot of artists work part-time jobs or full-time jobs and then are artists on the side. Do that, survive, but also keep in mind that you live once. To live your dream is 100% what you should do, regardless of anything else.
That's a really big piece of it too. Again, as somebody who still lives in a place where I get the like, oh, but like, what are you actually doing? Like, no, that's not actually a real job, and you can't do
Right.
that. For me, the main reason why I get that is because I actually did go to school. I went to college and got my degree in journalism. Let me say it this way: my dream was never to be a reporter. It was always to be a late night talk show host. So I
Love
guess I'm
that.
kind
I
of
could so see
close.
that.
Thanks.
So see that.
My one of my projects in school was like, what do you want one of your jobs to be? And I was like, I want to be the first brown late night talk show host. And then I forgot what was her name? Lily Singh. Lily Singh beat me to it, and I was like, damn. I was like, wow, rough. All right, I guess we can check that box now. I was like, okay, if I'm gonna do that, then I'm gonna anchor and I'm gonna end up getting my own talk show host. I thought I was gonna be Oprah girl, and then I got into the actual school and like I learned a lot, and I love my college. I'm very grateful for my degree, but I was like, I don't actually like doing this as much as I think I do. Then I started doing film. I started doing all those things, and I was like, oh, I like this. Then I started doing makeup, and I was like, oh, I like these two things. When I was trying to explain it to people and explain what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it, that's when I got the pushback from direct, immediate family being like, what did I even pay for school for? As if what we're doing now isn't exactly what I went to school for. Like, my computer is overheating, Premiere is open on another thing, like, someone's calling my house phone. Like, it's chaos. But, oh, they could let it ring. If you guys hear my phone ringing in the background, just ignore it. I don't know who it is. It's a scam call, especially when it's from immediate family that you can't escape. It does get really hard. And for a while, I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, this is so stupid. I would rather be miserable and do what somebody else wants me to do because they want to see me be miserable and do what they want me to do to make them happy. I would rather do that so I don't have to hear the nagging. The nagging will be fine. You have the rest of the life to live, not them.
Yep.
Womp womp. I hate to
though.
it is, and I hate to put it that way because it's like, what are you gonna do when that person isn't there anymore? You're gonna continue to live the life that they set up for you when you know that you don't. What are you gonna do? Wait to live your life until they die?
Right.
You can't do that, and it's not fair, and it's wrong. And honestly, for me at least, I think my biggest competition has always been immediate and really hasn't been so much outside. I wasn't going to speak on it. Honestly, I wasn't because I'm sure like everybody that I'm talking about is going to listen to it as soon as they hear it. And that's going to be a whole other issue in itself. I'm telling you this as somebody who has already made it known to everybody immediate. This is what I want to do. If I fail, then I failed on my own. I failed because I did what I wanted to do and it wasn't meant for me. And then I can go back and I can do whatever I went to school for. I can just focus on working in film and doing that instead of, getting my hands all foundation-y, if that makes sense. Just think about it that way. What are you going to do when that person is no longer breathing? Are you going to continue to live the life that they wanted to design for you? Because they're not watching anymore. You can believe in ghosts. You can do whatever you want, but what is a ghost going to do? Haunt you a little? You can live with a little haunting if you go do what you want. Just do what you want. Life is too damn short. Rant over.
And that's the thing. Like, if you are, having that inside competition, like I do feel like that is probably the most difficult form of competition. Regardless of anything you've done to yourself, regardless of social media, like that is 100% the most difficult competition. And my heart goes out to you because that is something that I do not wish upon anyone. Like Ashley said, you deserve to be happy. You deserve to do what you want. You deserve to have the career that you want. And I know that this career is easier said than done. With our podcast right now, what's the hurt in trying? If it flops, it flops.
Yeah. Like,
Life
and that's a
continues
good
to
way to
go
put
on.
it. Yeah, life continues to go on. That's a really good way to put it. Like, literally have a text message. Right? It's if it flops, it flops. If what you want to do flops, yes, that's gonna suck, and you're gonna cry, and you're gonna be sad, and like you're gonna be like, everyone was right, and they should have never done this. I promise you, it will be fine. You'll be a little sad, and then you'll find something else. Don't downward spiral into like this thing because one thing didn't work out. Just like establish what you want to do, and then also have a backup.
Right.
Have
And the thing
a
is though,
security.
like, I haven't met many people that have been like, it didn't work out for me and I regret doing it. You
Right.
know, this is what I wanted to do so badly. I didn't have a plan B. I came
Mhm.
here and I was like, there is no backup plan. I have no safety net. I have no money. I have nothing. So we're going to have to make this work. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I
it.
worked random ass jobs for barely any money. My husband literally shoveled mud out of a car wash for extra $50. We were scrounging for change, but I get to do makeup.
Right.
I'm a makeup artist though. You just keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I did it, you know?
Right.
And if again it doesn't work out, at least you did it. You
Yeah.
won't go on for the rest of your life and be like, what if I would have?
What is your I did it moment?
That's hard, especially as artists. And we said in the first episode, it's like we always get congratulated with, you've done so much for your age, you should be really, really proud. So it's hard to really like relish in any moments as an artist because you always feel like, what's the next thing? I feel like my I did it moment was, so I had been fired from one of the agencies I was working for. It felt like really hurtful and personal, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? Like, I had just been making money off of, this was not even a year ago. Then I started really, really pushing myself on social media, really like, it's a sink or swim moment. Like, I don't have a backup plan, so this is what we have to do. I started marketing myself, and then all of a sudden I was fully booked with all of my own clients. And I was like, oh, hello? What? I think that was just my moment. I know it feels small and there wasn't really like an exact moment, but just the fact that, you know, I looked at my calendar and I saw all of the people that chose me, it just felt like, oh my God, like I'm actually doing this.
No, that makes so much sense. I'm sorry. I just really wanted to know what yours was because mine was like the film that I did in October, and I was like, this is so fucking cool. And like
Yeah.
working with a director. Yeah, I was working with a director, and we had gone on a meeting with my hair artist, and we were like, he was like, what's your plan? And I was like, here's my plan. I pulled up a PowerPoint and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I had drawn face charts and I had everybody's photos. I had every actor's photos. I had the worst photo of one of the actors, by the way. We had no idea what we were going to do for him because the photo that we were sent made him look, I swear to God, 5'2" and like built like a Lego man. Having that meeting and like kind of seeing that he just trusted me, even if I didn't know what the fuck this man looked like. And that was kind of like my I did it moment. And it was, again, going back to community, not competition. I ended up bringing that hair artist that I was talking about. That was her first set. So for me, being able to bring on somebody else to help me out so I don't have to do hair, number one. Number two, so she can have the same experience I had a few years ago. Oh my God, this is what I want to do. To me, bringing her on and letting her experience that was like my I did it moment because I was able to bring her and have her I did it moment.
Yeah, I love that. That's the thing, like social media and just like the saturation of the industry is a breeding ground for competition. But we have the ability to be like, no, like I'm gonna bring her with me to share this moment. Or if you get an opportunity and you can't take it, you have the ability to, rather than being like, sorry, not available, to be like, sorry, I'm not available, but here's this girl, she would do really great. You know, those are the transactions that will decide if you're going to be the mean girl or if you're going to be the nice girl. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And there's a time and place for everything. Community will always be competition. I feel like it's really important to just do that.
Makall and I were kind of talking about something over text message, and I was like, do I really want to bring this up? I'm going to bring it up because this is going to happen way more often than it won't. We've both been in experiences where connections that we've had have turned around and created a team. We thought we were cool. We thought we were chill. We thought we were a team and we were good. And like, all of a sudden they're working with a bunch of other people and you're not on the roster. And you're like, oh, that sucks because it makes you sit there and you're like, oh, well, am I just not as good as the rest of them? Is like, is that why I'm not on there? Like, is that why? And like, they'll totally ghost you a lot of the time too. You'll be like, well, there goes half my community. Like, womp womp.
Right.
Just What's the way to say this? If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Whether it's not that you're not skilled, it might just, you might not be what they're looking for, or they're probably already a close group to begin with, or somebody else is in charge of it, and maybe these other people just didn't mention your name in the room, and like that will just let you know enough.
Right.
At least that's how I look at that, where it's like, well, and then you have people who you are friends with them and they just ghost you. They take your connection and they ghost, but
Right.
whatever.
And
Some people.
I mean, it sucks, but it seems like everybody has the same story. Unfortunately, we all have the stories of like, I really thought I was getting this gig and I did have this gig, and then all of a sudden I wasn't involved and everybody else was involved. Like that's what's happened to me, is I've just been like completely shut out of opportunities that were presented to me and given to me, and then I was shut out.
Yeah.
People will rip things from you. It feels really personal. A lot of the times it's not. I mean, it is,
Sometimes
but
it is.
it's hard to not take things personal, especially this, because we're all running our own business. So it's like, why would you do that to me? It's another incentive to just not be that way. If you're listening and you are kind of more of a seasoned artist, don't be that person. You know, if a newer person reaches out to you looking for help or looking for community, don't be somebody that's like, oh, like they're new, like whatever. Or to take opportunities from them or not refer them because you don't want to train someone to take your spot. And I understand that, but at the same time, again, it just goes back to, do you want to build community or do you want to build competition with other people?
Yeah, like be for real. Like these people can assist you for a while, especially if you're like talking to somebody who's only been in the industry for a year. Please let them build their little Rolodex too. Like I get it. It's hard and you spent however many years. Okay, you don't want to share the limelight. You don't want them to know that Jessica Chastain is calling for somebody. Maybe I shouldn't have used that name, but whatever. Jessica Chastain is calling and looking for somebody, and like you can't do it. So what are you gonna do? Right? Like, okay, great. I'm not saying call the person who's 1 year in, but call somebody else that you know that is good. And then maybe if the other person is around, if the person who's 1 year and that other person that you call who's gonna be doing Jessica Chastain's makeup, why don't you turn around and be like, look, can you bring on an assistant?
Right.
That's it. Share the tips, share the things. We're all kind of here for a reason. Like Makall said, we get why you might not want to share it. But at the end of the day, as I said before, with the people being competitive, like your own internal family, what's going to happen after you're gone? Because you can't hold that spot for forever. There's also going to be a point where you retire. There's going to be a point where you have to retire. There's going to be a point where you die. Womp womp. We all do it. So you also have to consider who's coming after you.
Right.
Does that make sense? Is that too morbid?
No, I understand. Like it's true, and you just have to look at the bigger picture of everything. I'm not saying give away everything you've ever learned for free. Like I'm not saying that. I'm just saying be somebody that is safe. Be somebody that somebody would think, I should reach out to her and just see. When like students reach out to me and they're like, what do you recommend I do after I graduate? Oh, I love this question.
Yeah.
And I will sit there and send them paragraphs of, this is what I did and this is what you should not do. This is who you should not trust. This is who you should trust. I love it. It starts a new relationship. You get to see them grow and you get to bring them in with you. It's just so much better than just being like, oh, good luck, or not answering. It's so much better. I have reached out to people that I look up to and been like, hey, like, you don't have to share if you don't want to. I would really like some advice of like how you did this. So I'm trying to do this. Ghosted.
Yeah.
So that's fine. It is what it is sometimes. And it goes back to whoever is supposed to be in your community will be.
Oh my God. Oh, sorry. This is the one that like grinds my gears a little. It really does. And it's because obviously, like she said, we've all been through it. It's very irritating when it's somebody who's like 20 years your senior.
Right.
And you're acting like you're in 5th grade. And I'm stealing your potato chips, babe. It is not that deep. I get it. I do. But like understand other people have to learn too. And everybody also has their own special skills. This goes for like all of the topics, by the way, everything that we're going to talk about. Because again, this is going to be kind of meaty. Everyone has their own thing. My specialty is skin. I do more commercial. I know how to make skin look like skin on a 4K red camera that the videographers use. And I can make it look like you just came out of the shower and washed your face for some magazine shoot. Okay. Like for me, that's my specialty. For Makall does a great like natural makeup look. She also does amazing like bridal looks in general. And also she body paints. I don't have competition with Makall. I'm not body painting anybody. Don't do that. It's, oh my God, it makes me so, I'm like, I'm hot.
Well,
I'm sweating.
it's so true though. Like everybody has their thing. I really truly believe that you don't really have competition with anybody.
No.
There's not one artist in Las Vegas, which is very extremely saturated, that does what I do. There's not one person that I know that does anything the same as somebody else. They're similar. There's definitely artists out there that I'm like, I recommend them because if you're looking for my look, she's going to be the next best thing or better. There's definitely those situations, but there's not another you, and people are looking for you because you're you.
Correct.
And I say this all the time. I am not the best makeup artist in the entire world. I am not,
Same, girl.
I'm not the best makeup artist in the entire world, but that doesn't matter. People book me because I'm me. A lot of my social media is my personality and my presence and what I bring from myself. And obviously we're all great artists, but everybody's a great artist. Everybody has their clientele, everybody has their thing. Being, in competition with those people makes no sense. Only time I feel like competition makes sense is if it's with yourself. I want to be better than I was a year ago. I want to be better than who I was yesterday. And it's important to look back at what your work looked like a month ago and say, oh, like I've gotten better than I was a month ago. Like that's when competition is healthy and good. It's just within yourself. Other people should be your community and not your competition at all.
Correct. Oh my gosh. I'm sweating. This one made me mad. This one made me hot. And like now I'm just, so I do want to segue. I know we spoke about how competition can be good. I do want to segue into competition via social media, which we did kind of touch on, I think. We kind of did it, but we also didn't. Please don't compare yourself to the influencers.
Yeah.
There's very important things that you need to know. Not all of them, but some of them are not actual makeup artists. So I used to work in Sephora. You used to work in Ulta. I used to work in Sephora, okay? And I worked at the peak of the Charlotte Tilbury wand craze when Michaela wouldn't shut up about it. And I just, oh my God, I will never forget that because we couldn't keep them on the shelves. And I had literal children like getting at it. I had children and grown women getting angry at me, okay? Women who could honestly be my grandmother. A lot of them would come in with a phone and a photo. I'm going to close my text messages because if I've learned once in my life, it's not to keep your text messages open. They'll come up to me and they're, oh, wow, even better. It's young gravy. They'll come up to me and leave it like, here you go. Here's what I want. How can I do this? And it is an influencer or a makeup artist who has definitely had cosmetics work done, fillers, Botox, facials bi-weekly. Like you cannot compare your work or your face or anything like that to somebody else on the internet because guess what? We all don't have the same genetics. Wow. Science is so cool. Science is so cool, but none of us look the same. And especially if we're getting fillers or we're getting facelifts or we're getting things like that. If an artist or if somebody is not candid about that, that does cause very like significant damage to other artists or honestly their followers who think that they can achieve that look by just being an everyday person. And a lot of the time too, when some artists post on social media of their work with certain photographers or in magazines, the photos are retouched. I think the only brand that I've seen that is not retouched is Huda Beauty. Mine has a little retouching, but it's less of like skin and like makeup. It's more of just like the other stuff. Just remember that like when you're looking at somebody else's things on social media, that is Lightroom, that is Photoshop, that is all that retouching unless it's said otherwise. I know for me, my photos, I'm happy to post what my raw photos look like. I have all of what my raw photos look like, but I also know that it looks super white. My lights are super bright, so it kind of disorients everything. So I know that I need to throw it into Lightroom. I'm pointing over there because my monitor is over there. Sorry. And, I have to throw it into Lightroom. I have to throw it into Photoshop and color grade it and just like fix it up a little bit. That's not to say that the art isn't real, but I also don't expect somebody to come on my page and be like, oh, this is so perfect and so colorful and why isn't mine when you're looking in a mirror versus what I posted on my Instagram.
Right.
It's hard to compare yourself. Please don't do that. Some people are more dishonest than others.
It's also just hard, like everybody's social media is a highlight reel. You're not going to post like, here's the worst makeup I've ever done. Enjoy, that's not happening. I've done bad makeup before. And there's still times where I'm like, wow, that wasn't my best. Look at somebody else in your area and just be like, she never misses. Like, she always does well. They always do well. Like, all of their stuff gets great engagement. It's so hard to gauge that way because you have no idea what they're thinking, what they're doing behind the scenes, and you're sitting on your couch rotting away thinking, oh, I'm never going to be this good. It's never ever that real, even though it feels real. Like, everything, it's fake. And even if it's real or whatever, it's the best version. You know, it's the best photo that they took out of 50 photos. They're very, very, very best. So why would you compare your best to somebody else's best when it's not the same?
What you think is their best, they can also be like, this is my worst ever.
Yeah. And it's all within the eye of the beholder. 100%.
Social media is fake. I love it. Unfortunately, I am a little rat girl who loves scrolling on social media, but I also, I had to teach myself really early that it was fake. And like, if I'm looking at it, it's not.
It's hard, and I'm definitely victim to it too. Like, I'll sit here and be like, what's she doing that I'm not doing? Or, you know, I've always been that way, and I feel like all of us kind of fall victim to that, but it's really important to pick yourself up and be like, I'm who I am, and they're who they are, and we're both great.
And remember, if you're asking for a product or a look that an influencer has, remember that they probably have work done.
Yes.
You're not always, it's not going to look like that on you all the time. It might, the product might not look like that on you. The makeup look might not look like that on you. Please don't go up to your Sephora or Ulta worker and just say, it didn't look like this on me, because they're going to tell you the same thing. And if they tell you that the first time and they tell you the product is bad, and you go home and you try it and you realize the product is bad, it doesn't look like that, and you come back and you tell the Sephora artist or the Ulta artist or whatever, they're going to be mad at you. Like, I hate to say it. It's going to bother them. It made me so, I'm a little tangent here real quick. I used to get that all the time, and I would literally have clients walk up to me after I said, this product is bad, don't buy it because X, Y, and Z. Like, yes, this person is a makeup artist, but they don't have a certification or they don't have a license. Like, don't listen to them. Like, they're getting paid to tell you that this product is good. I've played with it myself. It sucks. And I literally had people come in not even a week later and be like, this sucks. And I was like, no, really?
No way.
Congratulations, you learned what ads are. That threw me over the edge. I swear, every time somebody did that, I wanted to quit.
I also want to, since you're talking about people asking for certain things, I want to talk about how, I mean, it's a little bit of competition, but I feel like it's important to realize the impact of like comparing yourselves and the impact that social media has on not only artists, the general public, especially in the bridal industry. There will always be clients that will show you the photos, you know, the Pinterest photos that you've seen 100 times. It's important to realize that they don't know, as we know as, okay, it's fake, if there's a lot of Photoshop, whatever. And it's also important to not make them feel bad for not knowing. I know a lot of people that are like, that's fake, you're dumb. It's really important to be aware of the fact that everybody is comparing themselves to others, especially women, and especially people that wear makeup or that are getting their makeup done, especially for the first time. A lot of my clientele is people that are getting their makeup done for the first time. And, you know, they'll show the photos of the Pinterest photo that you've seen 100 times. And yeah, I know that you want to be like, oh, that's fake, you know, but it's important to, again, realize that they the thing that we've fallen victim to too. Why can't they look like, you know, Kim Kardashian? Why can't they look like Jennifer Lopez? It's important to manage the expectations, first of all, not make them feel dumb for wanting that, instead of being like, oh, that's Photoshop, like you're never gonna look like that. It's important to just like take it in a different angle and just be like, instead of being like, you can't look like that, get out of them what they're liking about it. Because sometimes when you go through that conversation, you'll kind of realize that like, oh, maybe I don't like her makeup, I just kind of like Kim Kardashian. It's important.
That's actually so real.
Yeah, like it's important to actually help your clients navigate that as well, because we're trained to be like, oh, well, she's got a smoky eye and she's got a mauve lip and her contour is more ashy than normal. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yeah.
But they see Kim Kardashian and they're like, that's what I want. But really, they don't, because Kim Kardashian's very dark. She's very black eyeliner heavy. She's very dramatic and full lashes. And it's like, is that what you want? And a lot of the times it's not, especially in my demographic of people. You know, it's important to just like realize the impact that it has on everybody and not just us, and being sensitive to that fact as well.
Yeah, I'm not like, oh, that's all Photoshop, but like sometimes I'll let them know. I'll be like, hey, so
Right.
Kimmy Kim has like Botox and also facelifts and also that's Facetune and also there's a pound of makeup. So like, let's break it down. So I am one of the ones that's like, yeah, no, totally, we can do something like that, but also here's the actual reality of like what that is. And then when I tell them, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, right.
Yeah.
Because Ash is a great makeup artist, but also you and I know what goes into that look.
Right. 100%.
Whoa, my brain just froze for a hot second. Yeah, just competition isn't always bad. Competition really isn't always bad. We need to like remember that. That's like a huge, huge aspect of it. Sometimes we need competition to just keep going. You know, just like a little drive within yourself. Don't be afraid to ask somebody else for advice. And then if that person is also giving you advice or you're giving somebody else advice, let's keep in mind the difference between constructive criticism and just being a huge bitch.
Right.
Right, like let's break down the fact that there is a difference between constructive criticism and telling somebody like, hey, this is what you can fix X, Y, and Z, and being like, this sucks and should be thrown in the garbage and you should never do makeup again. You know, it toes a thin line. As somebody who is too honest for her own good, it toes a very thin line. Just be mindful of other people's opinions, especially if they're just starting out. They're not always going to be great. It also depends on the product that they use, because this person could be so seasoned and like it could come out horrible because this product is just generally horrible. And you just got to giggle and kiki and just go about your day. Just be like, hey, maybe we can get like more skin coverage on this one. Like,
Right.
what if we use like a sponge instead of a brush here? Because like this product is meant for a sponge.
Right.
Carry on. So, you know, that's a really big aspect, because I've gotten people literally be like, no, this just sucks. Like, take it down. And I'm like, oh, good. I'm actually chopping my hands off now, and I'm never doing makeup again, actually. I'm gonna get into this in the horror story ones, but like I've literally had a woman who I thought I did my very best on, or at least I tried to do my very best for the circumstance. I legitimately had her go, you just don't like doing my makeup, do you? And I was like, well, that's it. I'm just gonna quit and I'm actually gonna walk. I don't know if I ever told you that. I'm just gonna quit and I'm gonna walk off the set. I'm gonna let somebody else do it. I'm gonna chop my hands off real quick. Like, this is definitely not insulting to me at all. Not to be dramatic, but like this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me.
Things like that happen to everybody, but again, it ties into how competition can be good, even though situations like that suck. Like, I've had moments where it's like, this makeup is bad, take it off, you know, and that sucks and it breaks your heart and you just want to quit. Those type of moments are what push you to be better, and they're the type of moments that you can look back on and be like, wow, I've come so far. Going back to, you know, competition within yourself being a good thing, like, it's also important to celebrate that within yourself of like, wow, I went through that, I lived through that, and I'm here now and I'm doing better and I continue to do better. And it's important to, you know, live in those moments of like, I am doing well and I'm getting there and I continue to be better, and celebrating those small wins, even though it might not be big, monumental, but it's important to just like let yourself have that moment. Even though you're always trying to be better, it's important to just be like, I have grown, you know, and that's good. And I continue to grow. It's so easy to just get caught up in being like, I need to be better. I need to do better, especially comparing yourself to other people because you see them winning, so you want to win. It's also important to just like take a step back and celebrate yourself too.
Exactly. Like it's about the little wins. It's about the big wins. It's about, I don't care if you feel a win, if you fill up your gas tank. Okay. If you're from like Jersey and you can't legally fill up your gas and you do it for the first time in Connecticut, I don't care. Celebrate that win, girl. Celebrate the little wins. If you're on your way to a client in a state that you don't know and you have to pump your own gas and you did it, congratulations. It's true. I know so many people who don't know how to pump their own gas that like they do it like
that's crazy to me.
Yeah, right?
As someone who lives on the West Coast, that is insane.
I pump my own gas. I've always pumped my own gas, but I went up to school in Connecticut and I met so many people from Jersey who were like, can you teach me how to pump my gas?
That's crazy.
Like, girl, it's very easy. Even if I wasn't there to like teach you, just open the thing and press the button. Anyway, I'm gonna shame somebody for not knowing how to pump your own gas, actually. Do better. If you do feel like your community is trying to sabotage you, or you feel sabotage is like such a threatening word, or you feel like they don't have your best interest at heart, or you kind of go through what Makall and I went through, where you're like, yeah, these people are great, and then all of a sudden, like, you're not in that group anymore, and you're like, oh, okay, just like know the signs. Don't stay somewhere where you don't feel welcome. If you want to watch them from a distance, fine, watch them from a distance. You don't have to be around that. You have full control of your community and who you surround yourself with, whether it be photographers, models, stylists, your best friend from like 3 states over who hasn't touched a lipstick that's not Velvet Teddy since 2010. Whatever you want your community to be, you can build that on your own, and you don't need to have all of these people who are super negative. I'm in New York and I go back and forth from New York to Los Angeles. So those are 2 like major cities with a lot of other makeup artists who do the things that I do, who are in the same spaces as me, who are honestly better than me. Like a lot of them are better than me. I'm not even trying to be like, oh, like no. These people have been in it for a long time and they're good, and I'm trying to like break into where they are. Don't feel like you need to be friends with X, Y, and Z because you need to get into certain spaces. Like you can, and that's great, but also understand that that behavior might come with some toxicity from those people because New York and Los Angeles are like cutthroat process, unfortunately for artists. So like choose your battle, get in the spaces that you want to get into, but also be wary of the people that are going to be in those spaces.
Right. And that you have the ability to build your own community. If you're feeling like you're outgrowing your community, that's okay. Surround yourself with people who are better than you because that's when you'll learn and that's when you'll grow. And you never want to stifle your growth by staying in a community that, first of all, you're not welcome in anymore, or second of all, you feel like you're outgrowing. If people aren't growing with you, it's okay to, leave that. It doesn't mean you don't have to be friends with them or you don't have to still connect with them. In the end, it's all about your growth and your success and whatever is going to take you there, being a kind person, but doing what you can to climb the ladder in our industry. In the end, what everybody's trying to do. Never rely too heavily because community can also be a little bit detrimental because if you're just going to rely on everybody else to lift you up, like there's going to be times where that just doesn't happen. And you also have to show up for yourself because at the end of the day, sometimes yourself is all you have.
2 things before we close. 1, if you're the smartest person in the room, leave the room.
Yeah.
Someone, I don't remember who told me that one time and I was like, you know what? You're so right.
It's so true. Like what, why would you surround yourself with people that are not on the same level? Correct.
If you're the smartest person in the room, get out of the room. Unless you're like me and my friends and we're all like the smartest and also equally the dumbest people in the room, you can stay in that room. It's fine. You guys can share the brain cell around the room, okay? Someone's got to get it at some point. I forgot what the other thing was. That's really embarrassing. I was so excited to say it too. Oh God. Oh no. Oh no, I can't remember it. Anyway, if you're the smartest person, I'm not. Obviously, I need to leave every room. Oh my God. I need to walk out of all of the rooms I'm in right now. Yeah, no, what did you say before this? It was something on what you said.
I was just saying, surround yourself with people that are better than you and build your own community.
I don't remember it. It's gone. It's gone. The thought is so gone. And I was so proud of it too. I was like, don't forget it. Don't forget it. This is an important point. Don't forget it. I forgot it. Whatever. If I remember it, I'll put it in the show notes. If I remember it, I'll put it in the show notes with the time code of exactly where it was supposed to be. Or I'll hop in when I'm editing and I'll be like, this is what the comment was.
I still don't remember it.
So, I think that's all we have for you on this episode. I feel like this was a meaty one.
This is a meaty one, but it's an important one. It's a heavy episode and it's, there's a lot of points, but I feel like it's a really important episode. But I hope that we made a little bit of sense and helped anybody that's listening.
I love that this is what we started with. Like, this is episode 2. It's just like the heaviest shit you can imagine. Just like, hey, well, here's a fun intro video. And then also, if you are in competition with somebody, stop and also leave any room that you feel like so it's like when a televangelist talks for a second and they're like, hey man, and everyone's like super hyped, but no one has any idea what this man has just said. You're just
we're here to talk about the things that are difficult to talk about. We're here to talk about the things that you feel alone when. Like, that's what we're here for. Locker room talk if it's late.
Exactly. Locker room talk if it's late. Yeah. This is our episode. We hope that you got our beauty fix in this week's episode. Isn't that so fun? That's episode 2.
I can't believe it. Episode 2.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Beauty Room Talk Pod and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Beauty Room Talk, where you will get our beautiful faces as well as our audio. And then we're also available on all of the streaming platforms if you don't want to see our faces, but I guess that's fine. We didn't spend all this time on our makeup for nothing. Fine if you don't want to see us. We'll be posting clips and things like that on our Instagram and our TikTok. We will be posting every 2 weeks if you missed that in the first episode. So this will have come out 2 weeks after the last episode. So just keep that in mind. And Makall, where can they find you?
You can find me at by Makall on all social medias. That is BYMAKALL. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, all of the things. And I can't wait to support you as well.
I'm making this. If you follow us on any of our socials, or I'll speak for me, I'm not going to speak for Makall. If you follow us on any of our socials, we will stalk your account. We will say hi, and we will more than likely follow you back. Just like send us a DM and be like, hey girl, I found you from the podcast. I'm like, oh my God, hi, how are you? If you are looking for me on social media, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at AMARIIECON.MUA. So that's amariecon.mua. You can find me amariecon on YouTube. I haven't updated it in like 5 years. Don't talk about it. I'm working on it. I found all the old footage that I thought I lost. If you want to follow any of the other things that I have, any of the other brands that I have, it's in my bio, Narcissus Beauty, on my Instagram, and then also on our website. Give us a follow. Make sure that you follow us, and make sure that you like this video if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a comment about topics that you want to hear about, or what you thought of this episode, or your stories about competition or community, or your favorite people, or if you want us to follow some people who are photographers, let us know, and give us 5 stars on the streaming platform that you are listening on if you don't want to see our faces.
Thanks so much for listening or watching our episode. I can't wait for episode 3.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye!
Bye, guys.